Today, you are a young Hawaiian in the late 19th century. Your family has lived on these islands for generations. Fishing, farming, dancing, and enjoying the beauty of the land. But things are starting to change. New faces arrive on these islands, building large plantations and businesses. The language of the newcomers is becoming more common, their customs more prevalent. One day, you hear that the newcomers, Americans as they are called, want to make Hawaii part of their country. How would you feel about that idea? Last time, we explored why the United States started to reach across the oceans. Today, we'll look more closely at one such place, the tropical shores of the Hawaiian Islands. We'll examine the story of American imperialism in the Pacific, focusing on how it changed the lives of people in Hawaii and back in the mainland United States. And as we move through our exploration, keep the native Hawaiian perspective in mind. Today's learning goals are: describe the process of Hawaiian annexation, explain the impact of American imperialism on the United States, and explain the effects of imperialism on the Hawaiian Islands and people. In the early 1800s, the United States had already shown interest in Hawaii. It was a perfect place for whaling ships to rest and resupply. And along with whalers came Christian missionaries who wanted to spread their faith. As time went on, Americans realized Hawaii had rich agricultural resources and fertile soil. Soon, they began building sugar and pineapple plantations on the islands. With these growing interests in mind, the United States brokered a trade agreement with Hawaiians in 1875. It allowed Hawaiian businesses to sell sugar and pineapple to the U.S. without paying tariffs. What's your take on it? Do you think the trade agreement would benefit both sides? Explain your reasoning in the PDF. It benefited American consumers by keeping prices low, and it benefited plantation owners, who were mostly Americans, because the United States was a big market to sell to. The Hawaiian economy should benefit too, because those plantation owners would buy things on the islands. Sounds like a win-win situation, right? The U.S. even gained permission to use a place called Pearl Harbor for its naval ships. But not everyone was happy. Liliuokalani became Queen of Hawaii after the agreement was made. She saw the growing power and influence of American businessmen. She noticed that, for the most part, Americans were profiting from trade, and they often preferred hiring non-Hawaiian workers. So the Hawaiian people were actually harmed by the trade agreement. How would you feel if your homeland was slowly being taken over from the inside by foreign powers and your people were harmed by treaties with them? The Queen tried to rework the agreement, ending tax-free trade. This resistance led to conflict. American businessmen wanted more control over trade. At their request, the U.S. Marines helped the business owners take power and set up a temporary government without the Queen in 1893. In 1898, the United States annexed or took control of Hawaii. This was largely supported by the public because people believed it would make America richer, stronger, and safer. Hawaiian annexation had several effects on the United States. Let's see if it really did make Americans richer, stronger, and safer. When the United States annexed Hawaii, it became part of the United States. ending any need for tariffs. This gave American businesses direct access to Hawaii's resources tax-free, especially sugar and pineapple. This accelerated business for growers in Hawaii and reduced costs for American customers. Annexation also opened up a new market for American businesses, allowing them to sell products in Hawaii and throughout the Pacific. In terms of economic gain, we can say that Hawaiian annexation certainly made the United States richer. How do you think U.S. trade with other islands in the Pacific was impacted by Hawaiian annexation? Well, freely trading with Hawaii allowed Americans to build warehouses and resupply cargo ships there, making trade in the Pacific easier. So, trade also increased with other Pacific islands as well. This made the U.S. even richer. Annexation also contributed to America's growing status as a global power. By expanding its reach, the United States began to rival European empires like Great Britain and Spain. So, how did annexation make America stronger and safer? Hawaii's central location in the Pacific made it a very valuable military outpost for the United States. It served as a strategic location to protect the U.S. from other Pacific powers and as a base from which to conduct offensive operations. The naval base at Pearl Harbor played an important role in later wars like World War II. So the United States became stronger and safer through the Navy. As we can see, annexing Hawaii had a wide range of positive effects on the United States. However, it's important to consider the impact on Hawaii too. While the annexation of Hawaii brought various benefits to the United States, it also had consequences for the Hawaiians. One of the most obvious effects was the loss of sovereignty or self-rule for the Hawaiian people. The overthrow of Queen Laliuokalani, control by the U.S. government, meant that the Hawaiians were no longer in charge of their land or laws. How do you think Hawaiians might have felt about this loss of sovereignty? The introduction of new crops, animals, and deforestation to clear land for plantations had negative consequences for the natural environment. American influence altered the native culture for Hawaiians as well. As more Americans moved to the islands, the native population slowly became less dominant. English became the most prominent language. This blending of cultures led to a transformation of the Hawaiian way of life, which diluted their unique cultural identity. As we learned before, the benefit from trade mostly went to American landowners, not the Hawaiian people. From the perspective of the colonized people, would you say that native Hawaiians were richer, stronger, and safer after annexation? They certainly were not. But facing these challenges, Hawaiians have fought to keep their language, customs, and traditions alive. Traditional Hawaiian schools immerse children in arts and practices like the hula, fishing, and sailing. Hawaiians continue to celebrate their unique cultural heritage and play an active role in local politics. They have regained some political and legal control over certain regions of the islands. The effort to preserve and protect their culture is ongoing even now, showing remarkable resilience in the face of adversity. Let's take a moment to review. American businesses and military interests saw value in Hawaii's resources and strategic location. Expansionist Americans first promoted business ties and then took control of Hawaii to promote free trade. And as we return from our journey to Hawaii, let's remember that this is just one piece of the larger puzzle of American imperialism. In the Philippines, Guam, the Marshall Islands, American Samoa, and even in distant Chinese cities, American businesses and military powers made their mark. Look at this map. We can see the lasting impact of this period, with Guam and American Samoa remaining as U.S. territories even now. In the PDF, we'll explore more stories from the Pacific. In our next lesson, we'll take us to Latin America. We'll witness the Spanish-American War, revealing more examples of America's global influence. The story of Hawaiian annexation teaches us about the complex dynamics of power, business, and culture. It encourages us to consider how people like the Hawaiians were affected by America's choices. How do the choices you make affect people around you? And considering Hawaiian annexation, how can modern Americans promote business ethically, rather than by dominating people around the world? In our next lesson, we'll sail to Cuba's shores amidst sensational reports of foul play in 1898. Until then, historians, always remember, shaping the future begins with understanding the past. Hey, hey.